the decision yesterday by the judge on the costs in the case against Conor McGregor taken by Nikita Hand. How much money will each end up having to pay? And what's the situation then for James Lawrence and his legal fees after the jury had found that he had not assaulted her in the Beacon Hotel? On the line, Frank Greaney, Newstalk's courts correspondent. Frank, good morning.
Good morning, Pat.
Now, it's a tricky one for people who are not used to looking at orders for costs and understanding them. So perhaps you can dissect it for us.
Yeah, it's particularly tricky, this case, because you had obviously Nikita Hand winning her case against Conor McGregor, but losing her action against James Lawrence. So I suppose that's one of the main reasons there was so much interest in the costs hearing yesterday. I've never seen so many people attending a costs hearing in the High Court. There are essentially two main levels when it comes to the awarding of costs in civil litigation. And I should say that there is a general rule of thumb that costs follow the event, which essentially means the loser pays. So once that's established, and I should say a judge does have some discretion when it comes to that, and there were arguments made in relation to why her side felt that the judge should engage that discretion and to stray away from the general rules of thumb. But basically you have two levels. You have an ordinary level known as party and party costs, and then you have the higher level solicitor-client costs. Party and party costs don't actually cover the whole bill charged by solicitors. They make up about 80%. They're for reasonable and necessary expenses. And then you have the higher level solicitor-client costs. They cover the full scope of the solicitor's work for their client. They go beyond what is deemed reasonable or necessary by the court. And while the purpose of costs is to indemnify and not to punish, this level covers about 90% of a litigant's legal bill. They are seen as more punitive for the losing party. And I suppose Nikita Hand, now she wasn't successful, but she was looking for the highest level of costs to be awarded to her against Conor McGregor, because her barrister felt the circumstance of the case warranted it, particularly in relation to Conor McGregor's conduct before, during and after the case. Her barrister, John Gordon, felt that it was enough to make such an order, and he accused McGregor of abusing the court process at one point. He accused him of introducing new evidence at trial and of diverting significantly from his original version of events. And that was in relation to his speculation under cross-examination about how Nikita Hand had suffered the bruising and the other injuries as a result of what happened in the Beacon Hotel. He was also accused of being verbally abusive to Nikita Hand in open court. And this, Pat, was a reference to an outburst during his cross-examination, which her barrister said yesterday caused the entire court to stop in its tracks. And I'd have to agree with Mr Gordon on that front. The jurors in particular were quite taken aback by that outburst. I won't use the vile language that Conor McGregor used during that brief outburst, but her barrister said yesterday that Mr McGregor used vitriol as a weapon to intimidate his client, and he urged the court not to tolerate it. But in the end, the judge didn't feel that this was an appropriate case to award the highest level of costs against Conor McGregor. He said that he was entitled to put his case forward, and he felt that it was put fairly and sparingly forward by his legal team.
Okay, so where does that leave us in terms of who pays what and how much of the legal bill does Conor McGregor pay? And then you've got James Lawrence. Nikita Hand was not successful in her action against him. So where does that leave him?
So I mentioned that general rule of thumb where costs follow the event and the loser pays in ordinary circumstances. Taking that rule, it stands to reason then that while Conor McGregor was ordered to pay Nikita Hand's loss, him being the losing party, then she should have paid James Lawrence's. But that's actually not what the judge decided yesterday. And let's talk a little bit about James Lawrence, because it is important and it goes to the heart of, I suppose, the judge's decision as to why he didn't award costs in relation to James Lawrence yesterday. James Lawrence introduced himself into this story, and no complaint was made against him until he walked into a Garda station in January of 2019, a few weeks after what happened at the Beacon Hotel. He had a prepared statement in his hand saying that he had consensual sex with Nikita Hand. Now, interestingly, He walked into that Garda station on the same day that Conor McGregor walked out of a Garda station after being arrested and questioned on suspicion of rape. And when it was put to Nikita Hand by the Gardaí that James Lawrence was claiming he had consensual sex with her, she was shocked by it. She had no memory of it whatsoever. Now, she accepted during the trial that she had a lot of alcohol and drugs on board. Cocaine had been taken at various points throughout the day. And I hope everyone out there knows, I should say, that intoxication may lead a person to be incapable of consenting to sex. And that's why Nikita Hand accused him of rape. He was also arrested. That was confirmed yesterday. And as we all know by now, no criminal charges are brought against him either. So she's decided to sue him. The case against him was therefore ran on the basis that he raped her after Conor McGregor had raped her. And his barrister said yesterday that that basis was never dropped. So he accused Nikita Hand of either suing him wrongly on a false belief, or of later changing her mind and just not telling anyone about that change of mind. And he said it was noteworthy that the jurors didn't award exemplary or punitive damages in the case, despite being invited to do so, if they felt that Conor McGregor and James Lawrence had cooked up a story, which was a claim made by her side. Now, we'll obviously never know why the jury didn't rule in Nikita's favour in relation to the case she made against James Lawrence. But looking at the evidence, the judge did pull the curtains back somewhat yesterday, because he said that he was satisfied that the jury had concluded that James Lawrence did not have sex with her. That wasn't James Lawrence's case. He said that he did have sex with her, but that it was consensual. He defended his case on that basis. He described it as soft sex. That's why we put it in his statement, which her side suggested was an attempt to distance himself from the bruising that she had. But in any event, he successfully defended his action, but not for the reasons that he had argued. And with that in mind, the judge felt that it would be inappropriate toward his costs against Nikita Hand. So he made no order in relation to those, which essentially means that she pays her costs and he pays his own.
Okay, so she pays her own costs in that particular element of the case, and Lawrence pays his. But it was already indicated, I think, that Conor McGregor, during the course of the trial, was paying Lawrence's expenses anyway.
Yes, there was some back and forth during Conor McGregor's cross-examination in relation to that, and he seemed not to recall or not to know definitively whether or not he'd paid the legal bills. And the judge interjected at one point and he asked him outright if he had paid the legal bills. We know that they engaged the same firm of solicitors, and Conor McGregor, when he was asked directly by the judge, said that he believed that he had, and it was confirmed by his barrister yesterday that he did foot the bill for his friend's legal costs. And I'm really glad that you've brought that point up, because the judge spent maybe an hour and a half considering all of the submissions before he made his judgment yesterday. And while Nikita Hand was looking for Conor McGregor at one point to pay the entire legal bill, the judge wasn't with her on that. She was also looking for him to pay the highest level of costs, and he ruled against her in relation to that too, just awarding her those ordinary costs. So you may wonder about the fairness of the judgment. And I think actually looking at it, and you can look at it from different angles, but I think objectively speaking, it is a very fair outcome, because having lost her case against James Lawrence, as I mentioned, Nikita Hand could have been directed to pay his legal costs, which would have been substantial. It probably would have dwarfed the, a little under €250,000 that she got in compensation against Conor McGregor. She wasn't directed to do that. And let's not forget, and we don't know for sure, but there may be arrangement in place. Some solicitor firms do it in terms of payment in the event of an unsuccessful claim. Some firms take cases on a no-win, no-fee basis. I'm not saying that's the case here, because I simply don't know. But certainly she could have been wiped out financially if she had to pay Mr. Lawrence's bill. James Lawrence may feel aggrieved that he wasn't awarded his costs in the ordinary way. But as you've mentioned, we've already heard that Conor McGregor paid his legal bill. They had the same lawyers, so he's unlikely to be out of pocket himself. And Conor McGregor then, who will foot the majority of the bill, the case, I've been reliably told, could end up costing close to €1.5 million, and he'll be on the hook for most of that. Conor McGregor has very deep pockets. He has a net worth of hundreds of millions of euro, countless revenue streams, although they've taken a hit obviously in recent weeks. But even if he was ordered to pay the whole bill, it wouldn't have put a major dent on his fortune in any event. He wasn't, and he also wasn't directed to pay that highest level of cost to Ms. Hand. So I think the judge did take a very measured and balanced approach, and obviously if any of the parties feel aggrieved, they can all pursue avenues to articulate those particular grievances.
Now, I was going to ask you that in terms of the original jury decision. Conor McGregor initially indicated that he would appeal, so that's on one level the actual challenging the result of the civil action by Nikita Hand. The second is on costs. Can he actually challenge the judge's ruling on costs.
Oh, absolutely. If he feels, as I say, if he feels that he's been aggrieved, or if the judge erred in some way, there's absolutely an avenue of appeal open to him. It was confirmed yesterday, because I know there was some social media posts that Conor McGregor put on his X account, or at least appeared on his X account, were subsequently removed, indicating his intention to appeal. But we did get confirmation from his barrister yesterday to expect an appeal in due course. And Conor McGregor may feel the wrath of the judge in due course in relation to an entirely separate matter that also arose from his social media account, something that was brought to the court's attention yesterday. Part of what could only be described as a rant on X. This was the day after the verdict was delivered, where Conor McGregor accused the court of being a kangaroo court of opinions and feelings, as opposed to a court of hard evidence and truth. Nikita Hand's barrister John Gordon accused him of taking to social media to disparage the court, and he said that Mr McGregor had published it with the intention of scandalising the court, and he accused him of directly insulting the jury and their verdict. So in his judgment yesterday, Mr Justice Alex Owens, interestingly, did pay some remark that he said he hadn't taken it into account when it comes to his order in relation to costs. But he said that if Conor McGregor has scandalised the court in any way, then he can initiate contempt of court proceedings. And Mr Justice Alex Owens will be very familiar with civil contempt, given that he was the judge and one of the many judges that has dealt with Enoch Burke over the years. He did say yesterday that in relation to Conor McGregor, he hasn't quite decided what to do in relation to that, but that if Conor McGregor is held in contempt, he may have to pay a fine. He described McGregor as a very rich man. He'd be well able to pay a fine, but he said that it's important that where somebody is seen to have scandalised the court, that it mustn't be ignored, because he said that can happen all too often, especially, I suppose, in this digital world that we live in, where people can seemingly say what they like online without consequence.
I suppose from McGregor's point of view, with the withdrawal of some of his products and those associated with him from supermarket shelves and off-licensed shelves and so on, that is some financial damage, but he has a huge amount of money invested in all sorts of enterprises, so he's not going to be a poor man no matter what happens. However, the reputational damage is done, and that can have consequences for him. And going to appeal, just bringing him back into the limelight again, may even, whatever the outcome would be, exacerbate those difficulties.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out when it comes to an appeal that there isn't an automatic right of appeal for starters. It wouldn't be a rehearing of all of the evidence that was heard across the 2 weeks before the High Court. You would obviously have to convince a court that there is merit in hearing an appeal, and on that he'll have to produce grounds where he could argue that he didn't get a fair trial, essentially, that perhaps the judge erred in directions to the jury or something like that. Like legal argument that would often be thrashed out in the absence of the jury, that often features when it comes to appeals where one party has been unsuccessful in that legal argument and feels aggrieved by it and feels that potentially that it can get a fair crack of the whip as a result. Now, there wasn't an awful lot of legal argument looking back on my 50,000 odd word note. There wasn't many instances where the jury was required to go back to their jury room while legal issues were thrashed out in their absence. So I suppose Mr McGregor has instructed his lawyers to appeal. Again, he doesn't have an automatic right of appeal, but that's for another day. That'll happen in due course. Right. In terms of the financial damage and the reputational damage that he suffered in light of this, I suppose they go hand in hand. Obviously, what we've seen over the past few weeks is, other business interests, and he has been building up significant business interests over the years as his career in the octagon has drawn to an end, obviously looking to secure the lavish lifestyle that he's become accustomed to. But as we've seen over the past few weeks, certainly in terms of the award of compensation that was made against him and the legal bill, you'd imagine the financial hurt that has happened over the past few weeks would be far greater than either of those.
Frank Greaney, Newstalk's courts correspondent, thank you very much for joining us.